Hey, so I'm in South Dakota. Gonna do some prairie dog photography. I got about a 3-mile hike and it's a little rough out west. And the game plan is traveling light. I have my P1000 Nikon. I have my photography mat. I use that for safety. Stay tuned on why I use that with prairie dog photography. And my ground blind, or ground pod, I should say. This, I got to give a shout out to Lou, Jake, and Mike from Minnesota. You took my last one. I had it loaded up on a bag about 12 hours before I was going to leave. Brand new. I sent you it. You should get it today as I'm filming this. And that gave me 12 hours to actually come up and build a new one. Yep, got it done. But it's about 80 degrees, 3 miles of hiking, 4 o'clock. Hopefully we can get there, get some golden hour, get some photographs of some prairie dogs. Yeah, it's really nice right now. It's not cold at all. It's like perfect weather. Anyway, let's move forward and see what happens. All right, so set up, put the mat down. A lot of the reasons why you want to put a mat down in this environment is the prairie dogs kind of carry some diseases at some point. Sometimes kind of like a plague, but off their waste. And a lot of times, if you're in their area, there's a lot of waste. They just come up right up out of the hills, out of their holes, I should say, and they do that. They do their business, and you don't want to really lay in it. The other thing is, this is a very thorny environment. There's all kinds of thorns in this ground, so you get a little bit of protection against that versus just laying down on the ground. 2 reasons there, but yeah, with the dry environment, with their waste, you just don't want to be breathing that in and sitting in it for any amount of time. Well, we are set up. There's one about 20 yards in front of me, probably about 30 or 40 actually, and he's we kind of went through their prairie dog town, and now we just kind of circled back. So we got the light in back of us, which is good. And the sun will go down. Hopefully get some golden light on these guys, and they'll come out. They get a little bit more used to me sitting right here, right in front of them. I've been interrupted. Back here, I don't know if you guys can see him. Got a buffalo. I have to move to another field. It's actually coming this way. So, packing my stuff up. I got to deal with that. Got a different field. You can hear the prairie dogs chirping as well, as we're kind of in their area. Yeah, and we have to get moving. So there's a couple buffalo back there. Rather not just be out in plain open with them. Yeah. Sorry to see you. They're hiding in their holes. Anyway, I got another spot we're going to try. Just assume not chase them in the fields if I can sit on the side of the road and video him. Very curious. He keeps seeing himself in the lens. That's what I talk about, big lenses. They're curious. This one's coming up to me. Some of these are coming right up to me. This guy's so close. Sniffing my Okay, you're close enough. He's sniffing everything. I don't want to get him any closer. Oh my gosh. Hey, get. No, no, no. You're close enough. It's kind of foul suit. I gotta go. So let's talk after the shot. Some lessons learned, some of the things I can take away from this, because yeah, it helps. So that last part, that mighty Monty Python ending of me just getting up and running or getting out of there, that was my wife honking the horn, giving me the old buffalo signal, and that was awesome. But yeah, had to sit there for probably 10, 20 minutes, and actually 20 to 30 minutes just watching it kind of circle around the car, which was freaky. And by that time it was dark. But initially in that scene, I was talking about the prairie dogs and how 95 to 98% of the population has been decimated through just ranching, construction, and farming and poisoning. So it's pretty much a double whammy or a butterfly effect when you start poisoning prairie dogs. Yeah, hawks, eagles, fox, badger, coyotes, they all feed on these animals. And it's so bad here in Nebraska, we have black-footed ferret, which is on the endangered species list. That's kind of like a mink, very susceptible to any kind of poisoning. And they feed a lot off the prairie dog farms. And they're, when you poison them, they're going to go down. And one of those animals is a big loss there. So through all this change, one of the big things, if you're going to take photography in the Midwest or some of these areas, I was told by a biologist, and it holds true, is if you're going to get photographs of animals, go where the prairie dog towns are. And it's true. You can hang out there. You can see coyotes show up, hawks, owls, everything. There's rattlesnakes. Everything kind of feeds off these animals. It's kind of like the center or revolves around it. So they're very important. That's one of the things I was going to get across. Now, what are some of the lessons learned? Across season to season, year to year, that first setup, that first place I was going to, I've been there probably half dozen times or so. And there's always some prairie dogs to photo shoot. But this time, they're a little bit tougher now. yes, the bison interrupted that, and I didn't want to have to come back and walk another 3 miles to the spot. But I just noticed that the prairie dogs weren't as inviting as they've been in the past. And on the second, third, and fourth location, it was kind of the same thing. Some of the population has gone down in some of the areas. In the last location, the fourth location, they just weren't having it. I stepped into their prairie dog town, and they were giving the all alert for about 20 minutes. And this little guy was barking away for 20 minutes. I just got up and left. I'm like, this is I don't want to bug him that much. So in looking at this, some of the things, the easiest way to go about this is when you're driving by, and I hate to say this, but driving by photography does work really well. They're so used to cars. And so I pulled into this area. I knew about this. I've been there, again, a dozen times. But this time I stopped. And getting the photo from a car door, you're kind of angled down. But I just kept the car running initially, got with the ground pod, and started shooting. And they kind of would come out. And they're used to the car there. They're used to my height. Pulled away the car, and sure enough, they didn't care. At first, they were very curious. They came right up on top of me, just looking at my camera lens, looking at the reflection, looking at everything. And then after a while, they just started doing what they normally do. So it was kind of cool. I didn't step into their area. I was always on the curb for the most part in the street, to where I know for a fact if I would have went 2 or 3 feet in, they would have totally shut down. They would not have me in their area. They would have just completely shut down and not been out there. So it's only a matter of a couple feet. And really, they kind of play the game. They hold the rules to how close you're going to get and how comfortable they are with you. So I was plenty happy just sitting on the concrete, laying down on the concrete, photographing them. And if that's what it takes, I kind of felt stupid going into these other prairie dog towns, moving so far, and then just having them not have me part of their gang, not having me accepted, and then I can just go along with, shooting from the sidewalk and getting some fairly decent photos. Now, the backdrops aren't the greatest, but I'll take it. I'll take that as a win. So some of the lessons learned, photographing. So the very first prairie dog town that I was photographing, I had the P1000 at 3,000 millimeters. And that, with the heat of 80 to 85 degrees, started seeing some serious heat waves, inversions. There was a lot of wind, there was dust, and I just couldn't get a very good detailed image of these prairie dogs. The fur was kind of matted down. It just looked hazy, didn't all look all that great. And so that's the other thing, is when there's that much heat, that much distance, and you really have to have a stable platform, and you have to have a good degree of clarity in limiting that distance. So that didn't work out all that great. Some of it, okay. But in the second part, where I was in the parking lot, essentially, I was right on top of these. In fact, I was so close. I've never had prairie dogs this close, where I started filming it with my phone, because my 2 to 600 would not focus that close. I zoomed all the way out. I still couldn't get the animals in focus. So I just grabbed my phone in a hurry and just started moving around with that, trying to get it. And actually, my Samsung S20 has a 5 times zoom. I got some, maybe some halfway decent photographs of a prairie dog out of a phone, and so that worked out well. But just know, day to day, week to week, it's wildlife photography. I had my heart set. I already went in, made the mistake of thinking, I can knock this out first field. I'll get this done in a couple days and have fun and be able to do other things. But it actually went on a much longer time than I anticipated. Yeah, so it's wildlife photography. My next video is going to be the Samsung S21 iPhone 13 astrophotography against the A7R4. Check it out. It should be coming out in the next week or two. Yeah. If you guys got comments, questions, concerns on this video, ask away. I'll try to reply, and I'll see you next week.